What if the heaviest burden you carry has no physical form? What if the exhaustion you feel has nothing to do with sleep and everything to do with a silent vow you made long ago, never to forgive? Before we go any further, pause with me for just a moment. If this channel has ever helped you see the unseen, if these teachings resonate somewhere deeper than the intellect, like the video and subscribe, not for the algorithm, but as an energetic agreement. When you choose to return, you choose awareness. Now, let us continue. Unforgiveness is not merely an emotion, it is a structure, a subtle architecture built inside your energy field, brick by brick, memory by memory. It does not shout, it whispers, it hums beneath your thoughts, quietly shaping your moods, your vitality, even the people you attract into your life. Ancient mystics spoke of the human being as more than flesh and bone. They described layers, fields of light, currents of force, invisible bodies nested within the visible one. Modern language calls this the energy field. Ancient language called it the breath of life, the aura, the luminous sheath. Different words, same truth. And unforgiveness? Unforgiveness is what happens when energy meant to flow is forced to freeze. Imagine a river dammed by a single unresolved moment. At first, nothing seems wrong, but over time, the water stagnates, pressure builds, the land downstream begins to dry. This is how unforgiveness behaves within you. The original wound may be years, decades old, but the energetic dam remains intact, silently diverting your life force. In this video, we will journey into what unforgiveness actually does beneath the surface of your awareness. Not as moral instruction, not as forced positivity, but as energetic mechanics. We will explore how ancient traditions understood forgiveness not as kindness to others, but as self-liberation. We will uncover how resentment alters your vibrational signature, why certain emotional patterns repeat no matter how much inner work you do, and why letting go feels so difficult even when you want peace. Most importantly, we will explore how forgiveness is not forgetting, not excusing, not surrendering power, but reclaiming it. This is not about becoming softer, it is about becoming lighter. Long before psychology gave names to trauma and resentment, ancient civilizations were already mapping the invisible consequences of holding on. To them, unforgiveness was not a personal flaw, it was a spiritual malfunction. In ancient Egypt, the heart was believed to be weighed after death against the feather of Maat, the principle of cosmic balance. What made the heart heavy was not sin in the modern sense, but emotional density, unresolved hatred, bitterness, and grievance. A heart burdened by resentment could not rise. This was not mythology, it was energetic law expressed through symbol. The yogic traditions of India spoke of granthis, energetic knots formed by unresolved emotional impressions. These knots were said to block the flow of prana, the vital force that animates the body and mind. Among the strongest of these knots was dvesha, aversion, resistance, refusal to release the past. Forgiveness was prescribed not as virtue, but as maintenance of the subtle body. In early Taoist philosophy, the human being was understood as a living circuit. Emotions were currents. Harmony meant free movement. Resentment, however, was classified as stuck qi, energy that coils inward, overheating certain organs while starving others. This is why Taoist texts warned that long-held grudges weaken the liver, cloud the eyes, and dull intuition. To them, unforgiveness literally distorted perception. Even early Christian mysticism, before doctrine hardened into morality, treated forgiveness as an energetic necessity. The phrase, "forgive us our debts," was not metaphorical. A debt was understood as unfinished energetic exchange. To refuse forgiveness was to keep accounts open, binding oneself energetically to the very harm one wished to escape. Across cultures, the message is eerily consistent. What you refuse to release, you continue to carry. But here is the crucial insight most modern teachings miss. Ancient systems never demanded emotional bypassing. They did not ask people to pretend wounds did not happen. Instead, they taught that every intense experience leaves an imprint in the subtle body. If that imprint is not metabolized, it crystallizes. Think of unforgiveness like undigested food in the psyche. The body cannot extract nourishment, nor can it expel the waste. Over time, toxicity accumulates, not because of the original injury, but because of what remains unprocessed. The Stoics understood this through a different lens. Marcus Aurelius wrote that resentment injures the one who holds it more than the one who caused it. But this was not moral superiority, it was observation. The Stoics recognized that every repeated grievance reactivates the nervous system, reinforcing internal chaos. Buddhist teachings went even further. They identified resentment as a form of attachment to identity. To remain unforgiving is to keep saying, "This is who I am because of what happened." The pain becomes a story becomes a self, and the self becomes a prison. Here is the thread that unites all esoteric traditions. Unforgiveness anchors consciousness to the past, and energy, by its nature, can only flow in the present. This is why forgiveness was never optional in ancient systems. It was not about goodness, it was about movement. Without movement, stagnation. Without stagnation, decay. To understand what unforgiveness does to your energy field, you must first understand a simple but unsettling truth. Energy remembers. Every experience you have ever lived does not vanish when the moment ends. It leaves a trace, like heat lingering in a room long after a fire has gone out. In esoteric traditions, this trace is called an imprint. When an experience is emotionally charged, especially involving betrayal, humiliation, or injustice, the imprint sinks deeper, embedding itself not only in memory, but in the subtle layers of your being. Your energy field is not a static bubble. It is a living, breathing interface between your inner world and external reality. It expands when you feel safe. It contracts when you feel threatened, and unforgiveness keeps it in a permanent state of contraction. Imagine clenching your fist for a moment. You can do it easily, but now imagine clenching it for years. Muscles stiffen, circulation weakens, pain becomes normal. This is what unforgiveness does energetically. It is sustained tension without release. At the energetic level, unforgiveness creates fractures, not dramatic tears, but subtle distortions. Parts of the field become overdense, heavy, sluggish. Other parts become thin, depleted, leaky. This imbalance forces your system to constantly compensate, consuming life force just to maintain basic stability. This is why people who hold deep resentment often feel tired for no clear reason. Their energy is not flowing, it is circulating around old wounds, like a satellite trapped in orbit. One of the most overlooked effects of unforgiveness is energetic entanglement. When a strong emotional charge remains unresolved, your field stays partially linked to the person or event that caused it. This is not metaphorical. Attention is energy. Emotional fixation maintains a cord. You may no longer speak to them. You may have moved on intellectually. Yet energetically, the connection persists, draining you, pulling you backward whenever something triggers the memory. This is why some people relive the same arguments in their minds for years. Each replay feeds the cord. Each replay strengthens the imprint. The nervous system responds as if the threat is present now, not past. Over time, the energy field adapts to this state as normal. Hypervigilance becomes baseline. The body remains subtly braced. Creativity dulls. Intuition weakens, not because it disappears, but because the signal is drowned out by internal noise. Unforgiveness also distorts resonance. Your energy field broadcasts a frequency shaped by what it contains. When resentment is stored, your field vibrates with defensiveness, mistrust, and suppressed anger. Life responds accordingly. You attract situations that echo the unresolved wound, not as punishment, but as resonance. Similar dynamics appear in new relationships, new workplaces, new environments. Different faces, same lesson. This is why forgiveness cannot be forced through willpower. The field does not respond to commands, it responds to integration. Forgiveness is not saying it didn't matter. It is allowing the energy trapped in the past to complete its movement. Here is the crucial insight. Unforgiveness is not the presence of pain, it is the interruption of processing. There is a reason unforgiveness feels heavy, and it is deeper than emotion. Unforgiveness does something subtle but profound to consciousness itself. It locks parts of you in the past. When a wound is not forgiven, the energy of that moment never fully exits your system. Instead, it becomes a fixed reference point around which your identity quietly reorganizes. You do not just remember what happened, you become someone it happened to. And the energy field, always obedient to identity, reshapes itself accordingly. In esoteric terms, this is called temporal looping. Part of your awareness remains stationed at the original injury, endlessly scanning for resolution that never arrives. This is why certain memories feel strangely alive, as if they happened yesterday. Time moves forward externally, but internally something is stalled. The energy field mirrors this split. One portion is present, navigating daily life. Another remains frozen, guarding the wound. This division drains immense vitality because the system is no longer unified. It is managing two timelines at once. Ancient teachings warned that this fragmentation weakens the seat of will. When energy is divided, intention loses coherence. You may want change, healing, abundance, or peace, but the signal you send into reality is fractured. One part reaches forward, another anchors backward. This is why unforgiveness sabotages manifestation, not as punishment, but as physics. Energy cannot fully move in two opposing directions simultaneously. Unforgiveness also reshapes self-perception. Over time, the story around the wound hardens into identity. I am the one who was wronged. I am the one who cannot trust. I am the one who must stay guarded. The energy field takes these identities literally. It fortifies boundaries, thickens defenses, dulls sensitivity. What once protected you now isolates you. The field becomes less permeable, not only to harm, but to nourishment, connection, and insight. Here is the paradox. Unforgiveness is often maintained in the name of self-protection, yet it keeps the nervous system in a perpetual threat posture. The body remains ready for danger that is no longer present. Muscles tighten, breath shortens, awareness narrows. Spiritually, this creates what mystics called a collapsed horizon. The future feels limited, possibility shrinks, joy feels distant or conditional, not because joy is unavailable, but because the energy field is preoccupied with guarding the past. Unforgiveness also binds you to repetition. The unresolved imprint acts like a magnet, pulling familiar experiences toward it. This is not fate, it is unfinished energy seeking completion. Until the loop is closed, life will keep presenting variations of the same lesson. This is why some people say, "I've forgiven, but nothing changed."
What they mean is that the mind released, but the energy did not. True forgiveness is not a thought, it is a physiological and energetic shift. It is felt as expansion, warmth, and release. And here is the most confronting truth. Forgiveness is not for the other person's redemption. It is for your temporal liberation. When forgiveness occurs, time resumes its flow. Identity loosens. The energy field reunifies. Vitality returns, not suddenly, but unmistakably.
Now we arrive at the most delicate part of this teaching, because unforgiveness cannot be commanded to leave. It must be unwound. Most people fail here because they attempt forgiveness at the level of morality or logic. They tell themselves they should forgive. They recite affirmations. They suppress anger. But the energy field does not respond to pressure. It responds to safety and completion. So we begin not with forgiveness, but with permission. 1. Create a safe inner container. Before any release can occur, the nervous system must feel safe. Sit quietly. Place one hand on your chest, one on your abdomen. Breathe slowly, deeply, not to calm yourself, but to signal presence. This tells your energy field, I am here now. The danger has passed. Forgiveness cannot emerge from survival mode. 2. Locate the imprint, not the story. Do not revisit the narrative of what happened. That strengthens the loop. Instead, ask a different question. Where does this live in my body? Is it a tightness in the throat? A weight in the chest? A heat in the stomach? Energy releases through sensation, not analysis. Stay with the sensation without trying to change it. This is integration, not endurance. You are allowing the frozen energy to be felt, which is the beginning of movement. 3. Interrupt the energetic contract. Unforgiveness survives because it maintains an unconscious agreement. I will carry this so it does not happen again. Gently speak, internally or aloud. I no longer need to carry this to stay safe. This is not forgiveness yet. This is revoking the job the resentment has been performing. Often, the body responds immediately with breath, tears, warmth, or fatigue. These are signs of release. 4. Return the energy to yourself. Visualize the emotional charge you've been holding, anger, grief, bitterness, as light that no longer belongs outside you. Call it back, not as poison, but as power that was misplaced. Say, what I gave away in pain, I reclaim in awareness. This step dissolves energetic cords without needing confrontation or closure from another person. 5. Allow forgiveness to emerge naturally. Forgiveness is not something you do. It is something that arrives when the system no longer needs defense. It may come as neutrality, as indifference, as quiet peace, or simply as the absence of emotional charge. That is enough. Do not force compassion. Do not rush relief. Completion unfolds in layers. Each time you release even a fraction, the energy field regains coherence. Common obstacles. If forgiveness feels impossible, it usually means the wound is still protecting you. Respect that. Work with the body first. Forgiveness without safety re-traumatizes. And remember, letting go does not mean allowing harm again. Energetic release sharpens discernment. It does not erase boundaries.